everyone. It is our first Newsy News Nooner. And yes, I am actually going to focus on this week, and I will actually get Rumble hooked up. It will be awesome. Uh, I'm trying it out. I'm going to see how it works since I don't have a trial this week that I got. And I figured most trials do have a lunch break. So let you guys have a little newsy news if I'm not covering a trial. And then we'll try to squeeze some newsy news in if I am covering a trial. So it'll kind of expect it to be around noon-ishness. You know how my life operates. I've spent the last hour and a half, struggling to put together a locking nice file cabinet that's going to replace this falling apart thing that we've had since my husband was in college. So for a falling apart prefab kinda thing, it has stayed together, but I'd like it to look a little more elegant. Thank you, AC's Wildflower. So I have a couple of stories. This won't be as long as the morning or evening, but as I go through the day, I I will have to look at it. Like I said, I thought I was going to be super duper de duper productive, and I got 3 loads of laundry done, and then I spent the rest of the time trying to look at these very easy instructions to put this filing cabinet together. And they're not as easy to me, like, eh, it it could be written in wingdings as far as I can figure, because I spent half the time trying to make sure I've got all the pieces type A, and then the next bit of the time realizing I put something on doggone backwards. Freaking stuff, and I'm sure if you have experience, you know exactly intuitively how those little drawer ball rolly wheel thingies go in so you get a nice good gliding in and out drawer. I do not. So I inherently put them in backwards until everything is almost done and I think I have achieved greatness and I need to go and redo it. And I'm like, oh, for the love of my fat fingers trying to get that little itty bitty screwdriver that they give you into the place to try to fix it. And Mr. Mo would have probably had it done in about 5.5 minutes, but it's taken me an hour. So I am learning all the new skills. In our first story, now this is from The Guardian, so obviously it's going to have a bit of a slant, leftwards and maybe terrifying words. I'll try to find a different leaning, I swear to goodness, I looked at the thing like 4 times. They just need to have a dummy sticker that says, "This part front," and y'all, I'd be good. Just put a dummy sticker in there. I'm telling you, put a bright orange dot, "This goes forward," and I could put things together. It's it's the ambiguous black and white, It's not my fault. I simply I took and before I go any further, I'd like to thank belatedly, because I was having a weekend, all of our veterans and service members and first responders and everyone who, does service for our family or for our country and our families and, gets pulled out away from their families because of it. Thank you so much for your service. I am the only, basic trainee flunky of my family, so I come from a great service family. Oh, my mom's definitely gonna delete me from the Christmassy achievement letter. This year, Mo, she had some challenges. She does something with the internet. I'm not sure. People send her stickers for money. I just don't know. But I do come from a great family, both parents that served, so I do deeply appreciate it, and I have brothers and sisters that served, so thank you so much for all of our veterans. If you're watching this on the replay because you're actually watching a trial or such, thank you. So on that note, the Q Shaman apparently is filing paperwork for a congressional run. And sir, if you show up with the bull helmet, look, I'm kind of full accelerationist at this point. I say come in the full weird kilt and full tattoo outfit and look, it might as well just you might as well just go with it right now. So Jacob Chansley, known as QAnon Shaman, became one of the most recognizable symbols of the insurrection. Yeah, that insurrection, not like that insurrection this last weekend with all those people who broke down the gates at the White House, but Joe wasn't there, so it's okay, allegedly. Uh, Anyhoozle, he pleaded guilty to a felony charge of obstructing an official proceeding and was sentenced for 41 months in prison. However, you know, guy who pulled fire alarm to obstruct the same thing gets like a slap on the wrist and he has to put a thank you note in. I mean, I'm just saying. As a felon, uh, he will not be able to vote for himself unless and until he gets his voting rights restored in Arizona. So as of right now, he is eligible to run as a libertarian congressman in Arizona. And Sal, I know you're probably busy, but I expect us to get an interview. If you have to be in Arizona, we're getting a QAnon shaman interview. But apparently, he will not be able to vote for himself. However, other people can vote for him. How is Fry sleeping like this? I mean, I can only imagine he's sleeping like a Joey kangaroo. He I here, let me what is wrong with my dog? I keep finding myself asking this question a lot. But his it's almost like he's in utero, I swear. He won't let me get rid of the pineapple. I keep trying to move it out of the way because it's too small, and he will drag it back over there. He does not wanna get rid of the pineapple. I don't know if they make a bigger one. Oh, no. He's he definitely believes he's an indoor-outdoor cat. He's So apparently he will be running in the 8th district that will be open in 2024. Debbie Lesko, the Republican representative, announced that she would not seek reelection. Now there have been a flood of Republican people coming in, so I don't know that I'm telling you, he is a cat. He has taken the cat schedules. I have to wake him up to go on walks. I mean, he gets excited when we finally go on a walk, and it's not very long sometimes, but he could sleep the entire day. He was raised by cats. I don't know. So, there you go. Q Shaman, hopefully in a suit and tie and or with, just shaved his chest just a little bit. I mean, I'm digging it, but maybe leave the bull helmet at home. Who knows? In more serious news, apparently the Secret Service, and I know this was breaking during morning Newsy News, but I'd already had Newsy News set up. And look, it's not like the president can wait till the nooner. So, Secret Service agents protecting Biden's granddaughter opened fire after three people tried to break into the SUV. Now, I do wonder of what sort of affiliation? Yes. Yes, he is filing to run as a libertarian in Arizona, but as a felon, he will not be able to vote for himself unless he gets his voting rights restored in Arizona. I don't know what you have to do, if you have to hold like a crystal pyramid or get cleansed with sage for that one. So I am not quite sure. But the Secret Service agents assigned to defend Biden's granddaughter. So, how much are we paying for the entire family? These are like grandchildren, cousins, guy I knew in high school. I mean, look, I'm glad that they saved her. I'm glad she didn't get hurt. But how much of tax money is going to Biden's dog not biting people and then his grandchildren? Uh, opened fire late Sunday on a group of people attempting to break into the unmarked Secret Service car in Washington, D.C. On November 12th, around 11:58 p.m. in the Georgetown neighborhood of Washington, D.C., Secret Service agents encountered possibly three individuals breaking a window on a parked, unoccupied government vehicle, the agency spokesperson, Anthony Guglielmi. Look, y'all are gonna I'm gonna need AI for that one, said in a statement. Quote, "During this encounter, a federal agent discharged a service weapon and it was believed no one was struck. The offenders immediately fled the scene in a red vehicle, and a regional lookout was issued to support units. There is no threat to any protests or protectees, and the incident is being investigated by the DC Metropolitan Police." You understand that the DC Metropolitan Police, I think, have a 28%, capture rate or solve rate on murders, and I think like a 5% rate on burglaries. Yeah, I am feeling more human. So I am trying to look, I have graduated from dead awful to, well, regrettable in OBS, meaning I can turn it on. So my goal is to get up to crummy this week and then learn to link Rumble and other stuff this week. So I have goals to get done. I am feeling more human and ready to go. So it does seem like it's more maybe because of where it was, it seems more like a car break-in, or there's been a lot of, I mean, up to and including senators and I believe, local government officials getting carjacked. This seems more to be we saw a car not being guarded and we were going to just test out to see if we could find stuff, not really a coordinated attack on, Biden per se. But let's continue because maybe I am completely wrong since I don't read these articles until I talk with you guys. Agents protecting Naomi Biden were out with a 29-year-old in a Georgetown neighborhood late Sunday when they caught three people attempting to break into a parked, unmarked service vehicle in the area, a law enforcement official told Associated Press. A spokesperson for the DC Police Department did not immediately respond for a request for comment. The agency did put out a regional bulletin to police to be on the lookout for the suspect's vehicle. The nation's capital has seen a drastic rise in carjackings and car thefts this year. In the past year, police have received reports of more than 750 carjackings and 6,000 stolen vehicles. So, again, I think this was more of a function of, oh, we see a car hanging out, but I am willing and, totally will retract any statements if it turns out this was a coordinated anti-Joe kind of thing, which would be terrible. Look, leave people's families out of it, but don't go insane about politics. It's not worth it. It really isn't. The issue became so pervasive that even lawmakers have been impacted. Last month, U.S. Rep. Henry Cuellar, I think I said that right. A Democrat from Texas was carjacked at Peel Point in the Capitol by three armed assailants. Hunter Biden's eldest daughter, who notably got married in the White House last fall, also recently made headlines following reports that she allegedly vandalized the U.S. Capitol in 2011 when she worked as a Senate page. The then 17-year-old was reportedly given a tour of the Capitol dome with a fellow page when the two etched their names into the top of the structure. Uh, well, kids are dumb. Get a couple 17-year-olds together, and I'm sure that shenanigans will follow regardless. Fry's like, "Why is I awake? I was napping. The cats are running around." He's like, "I is a little drunk. I still tired." Now, this is a weird one. A convicted rapist who posed as his dead police chief dad for Smexy Times is now charged with a different woman's murder. So, this is from Oxygen. So, I'm guessing there will be a true crime, you know, enactment coming soon from Oxygen, our own. So, another thing that we can stream or have a watch party about. Yeah, I have no idea, y'all. I saw the headline and I was like, "Yoink, we're doing that one." I mean, not for good reasons, but what in the rapture are we looking at here? A convicted rapist in Maine has now been charged with the murder of a Freeport woman who was found dead near a Home Depot in September. Investigators with the Maine State Police Department arrested Gary Mariner, 65, on November 2nd in connection to a murder of a 52-year-old Danielle Goodwin, whose body was found near a Home Depot in South Portland more than 2 months ago, authorities said in a statement. On September 5th, officials were dispatched to Clark's Pond Parkway, where they found a woman's body in an embankment next to the sidewalk near the hardware store, according to the South Portland Police Department. Yipes. Yeah, look, I'm not gonna profile. Look, I do profile people in Walmart, and sir, you'd be on my creepy side, all right? Just saying. The chief medical examiner in Augusta determined her manner of death to be homicide, which basically only means that another human caused it. It was not a natural death. Maine State Police said the cause of Goodwin's death was not being released at this time. So, obviously, this is something that they're having to keep back for investigation stuff. So, who knows? Over the course of the last 8 weeks, investigators from Maine State Police, Portland Police Department, South Portland Police Department, Saco Police Department, and the ATF conducted interviews, collected video evidence, and executed search warrants within the greater Portland area, Maine State Police said. Question, why do they always look the way you pretty much thought they were gonna look? Because look, it's you either have the Dennis Raiders who are like, "Yeah, you knew he was probably a real dick, but you could never really guess why he kind of something about him made you just go, ooh." You never could figure out why. And then there's this guy where you're like, "Okay, well, where is his paneled van?" This man has a white van with a lock on the outside, if you know what I mean. Allegedly. I'm just saying, you know, sounds like he just needs some spackle, some primer. It's the stash. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of look, he's had a rough life of offending, allegedly, so let's see what he has done. What was Gary Mariner previously convicted of? In 2015, Mariner was charged with gross rape or assault while impersonating a police officer. According to court records obtained by the Portland Press Herald, Mariner used his dead father's police badge to coerce a woman of payable pleasure uh, to give him a freebie, if you will. His father, Herbert Mariner, was a former police chief of Cape Elizabeth. At the time of the assault, Mariner reportedly told that woman that he was working with the special prostitution unit of the state police. That would be the Vices unit, you giant dill hole. Did you not even watch one episode of Law and Crime SUV? I mean, it's the special victims unit. You can just go with something like that. Yeah, it's it's like and unfortunately, I have given birth to the most Walmart of Walmarty-est greeter children, the last 3. Griffin would be like, "You have a puppy and candy? I have, like, 6 brothers and sisters. Do you want us all to come into your van?" He'd be like, "And my mom's home too, and we've got a dog. You wanna see it?" He'd be like, "Come in, creepy person." He'd be the world's worst guard dog. He'd be like, "Mom, this guy has candy and a puppy, and I told him all my siblings were coming with us. He's gonna show us where this puppy is." No. No, you're not. And that's my biggest fear, because my boys know no strangers, and Griffin would gladly give all of his siblings up for sugar at some points. He then pulled a pew-pew on her and forced her to perform a mouth hug on him, a Portland detective wrote in a 2015 report, according to the Herald Press. Now, obviously, he did not use that language. 2 years later, he was sentenced to 12 years in prison, but with 4 years suspended, the newspaper reported, citing criminal records. The Maine, offender registry lists Mariner as a lifetime registrant, meaning he will remain on the list as an offender for the rest of his life, as he should if he did this thing. Mariner made his initial appointment in court virtually Monday, where it was determined he would be held without bail. So obviously the next charges are much higher, much more consequence. I mean, this has gone from a terrible assault, which is bad enough, to an unaliving. Who was Danielle Goodwin? Goodwin was known in the community for her role as a drugs and alcohol recovery counselor, and she was described by friends for her influential role in their road to sobriety. Quote, she was strong and brave, Stephanie Doyle, a good friend of Goodwin's, told WGME, possibly one of the bravest women that I know. A friend, Zoe Campbell, said, quote, I met her at one of the hardest points in my life, and she was instrumental in saving it. Chris Dow said he always saw a smile on her face throughout the time he knew her, and while remembering Goodwin's time as a recovery coach at a treatment center he attended, Dow told the station, quote, being there, she was giving me that hope of, this is what life can look like again. My life can be like this. So, again, this guy allegedly unalived a person that, you know, was doing really good things in the community. And of course, you know, if anyone's doing good stuff in the community, you're going to have, you know, Chester here, although his name is Gary. But so allegedly, I will be keeping an eye on this case because this irritates the snot out of me because, we have so many people that are battling addictions, and we seems like we had a really good person that was helping with addictions, and he snuffed her out, allegedly. So, I'm anxious to see what, the court case going forward is because every time I hear Portland, I think of Oregon, but it's actually Maine, and they would have some good accents. In other news, the Las Vegas Sphere is losing boatloads of money. Now, I can only contend that they let Nancy Pelosi's Ghibli bits be broadcast in large screen to promote some comedian, and that can have only cursed the whole thing, to be honest. I mean, they're gonna need to sage the hell out of that after that cursed image was up there, which I continually send to Mr. Mo, which is totally irrelevant at this point. The Sphere has instantly become a recognizable part of the Las Vegas skyline for better or for worse. Since it's made its debut earlier this year, and while the massive technological and architectural undertaking is an impressive sight to behold, there's more than meets the eye when it comes to keeping the Sphere running. Yeah, I mean, this thing obviously, the capital expenditure, to get, I don't know, all the light bulbs or whatever wizardry they use to get it up there. I mean, that's going to be a look, I'm not an economicologist again, but that's going to be a major capital investment and, upkeep kind of thing, but I'm guessing it will be offset by different, either movies or, advertising. So over the long run, I'm sure it will make money, but yeah, I'm sure it was a giant, yeah, no thanks. I don't look, I already looked up the lyrics to WAP. I think my computer needed all the bleach bit after that. I think there is a movie named The Sphere, but I don't remember what it was about. This okay. On November 8th, the Sphere reported an operating loss of 98.4 or million in the fiscal quarter ending in September. If y'all wanna lose money, I'm just saying I run a for-profit charity. It's called Mo's House. He basically just, donate to me, and I buy things for my house, but, I am fairly sure and not exactly sure that you can write it off on your taxes, but it is a for-profit charity, so, it is what it is. If you'd like to set money on fire, I'm just saying, I can do some stuff with it. Got some totes I could buy. I wanna, feng shui and oh gosh, not Mindy Kaling, but whatever that woman's name is where you touch the thing and you're like, "Oh, does it spark joy or does it spark clutter?" And then if I could get one of those people to come into my house, that would be awesome. So, just saying, if you have 98.4 million to lose in a quarter, I can give you some definite value. Right after U2 officially opened the venue with the first show of their residency, according to the SEC filing, the venue also lost its chief financial officer. Well, that's good. Lose the person that knows about monies. Though his departure was, quote, not a result of any disagreement with the company's independent auditors or any member of management on any matter of accounting principles or practices, statement disclosure, or internal controls. Yipes. So that is a CYA that we are not laundering any money, we promise, SEC, allegedly. Apparently, he quit after a screaming match with CEO James Dolan. The Sphere cost a whopping 2.3 billion, and that's a B, to build. While it brought in a fraction of that amount, approximately 6.7 million from its opening through event revenue and sponsorship and advertising, it still wasn't enough to break even as operating costs totaled 7.8 million. You wanna talk about an electric bill? Look, I may or may not be the furnace dad of the house, where I am like, "Look, we are keeping it set at this temperature. If you are cold, go get a sweater. We have a wood burning for fireplace." You know, uh, if you are cold, get another layer or we can do some chores. I may be that fireplace, that furnace dad, and when it just goes up a degree and I'm like, "Who did it?" Clearly, the sphere may be in the red for a while, but especially considering how much it costs just to open the place combined with the money required just to keep the lights on, Dolan, meanwhile, believes in the vision. Quote, "We are building positive momentum across sphere and remain confident that we are well positioned to drive long-term value for shareholders." Well, as long as your shareholders, you know, agree with you, then it's not fraud. Look, I'm pretty sure that I give no financial advice. Look, I am a redhead on the internet who sends her husband Nancy Pelosi in a bathing suit pictures randomly because I think it's funny. So if you take advice from me, there's a lot going on that we need to talk about. But my guess is when investors if you have enough money to invest in a sort of very venture sort of thing like this, then you have done your research and realize that it's going to be very front loaded with, you know, capital expenditures and, things like that. And then once this becomes a brand that people are talking about, technically, sometimes allegedly, then maybe it'll, become sort of a ubiquitous thing of Las Vegas. I don't know. I'm just saying you'd think that people that have a large amount of money to just blow for, it's gonna be a whole lot front loaded, that they've planned accordingly, but I am getting more and more convinced that our lizard overlords are just as confused as I am putting together this IKEA thing. Oh, yay. Good. Well, that's good because we are, doing our noon stuff. And then we have, in kind of odd news, and I don't know what was going on. Good. afternoon. This is the Newsy News Nooner. A man accused of causing fatal chain reaction bus crash in Seattle had 50 past warrants issued for his arrest. So, again, this is kind of an add on from my morning thing where I'm telling you guys, we are going to start seeing more, again, from different media, we are going to start seeing more of the zeitgeist if police don't start, aren't able to police, they aren't able to, you know, get the bad guys and keep them in jail. If it's just this revolving door, we're gonna get Dirty Harry back. We're gonna get, Charles Bronson back. And as much as I love, a good Death Witch movie, as long as I'm not related to and or in love with Charles Bronson, you know, and end up meeting a terrible, terrible end, you are going to have a rise of more vigilantes. You've got the subway vigilante, and now you got this dude who had 50 warrants out, but because we had the Joe Temkin, and I stole that from Styx, the Joe Temkin Village in Seattle because of all of this stuff. This guy was probably just let out and said, "Don't stay on the Potemkin Village, route where all of everyone for this big old thing is coming in. We'll just, we're just gonna let you on slide with 50 past warrants." We are learning about the criminal history, and this is from Seattle, of a man accused of causing a deadly chain reaction crash that sent a metro bus into a building, killing a woman on a sidewalk last week. Adam Abelson is now facing charges that include vehicular manslide or vehicular homicide. I was going to say manslaughter and then slide, just kind of for a November 4th crash. Now, I don't read these articles before, but what is our dollar guess that this man is out on bail now, on his own recognizance? I am fully aware. Prosecutors say that locally he's been issued about 50 warrants for his arrest in the past and accused of a number of crimes. Charge documents state that Abelson not only caused the crash, but with the bus in Seattle, but was accused of having drug paraphernalia on the front seat of his car at the time. Charging documents say that Abelson was speeding at highway speeds much faster than the 25, per mile per hour speed limit. He was also accused of failing to slow down or stop for a solid red light. Now, we have all been look, we have all been there when the light was really just orange, okay, your officerness. And there were people behind us, and we just, hauled ass on through, allegedly, in Minecraft. Documents state that he collided with the front bumper of a Prius before striking the bus on the near front left tire. Look, y'all, I am terrible at spatial, but basically, he caused a big old wreck. He has a mile-long rap sheet, and it's just, it is upsetting. Investigators say the impact redirected the bus toward the southwest or southeast corner where pedestrian Amanda Schneider stood. She reportedly tried to run, but she just didn't get out of the way in time and was tragically killed. And again, this guy walked away with almost no injuries, and the people on the bus had, several injuries. And, quote, "An accident involving a bus like this, and particularly rare when you think of the number of bus routes and rides that happen per day, the odds of things happening to you are very slim on Metro." But it doesn't mean that this victim's life was any less valuable or this case was any less serious. "This is a heartbreaking tragedy," said Casey McNearthany. Look, something last name. King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. Documents state there were 14 passengers on the bus of the time of collision, and 11 were transported to the hospital. So, look, it steams my grits. It burns the bottoms of my biscuits when, the people that are driving recklessly like that. I'll have to put it up for nighttime news, but it's been kind of memed to death. The, indigenous, non-binary body cam footage with the DUI. But, again, for our first responders, for our veterans, for our service members, if you've had to, and look, I don't know how many people Officer Tatum is maybe not your cup of tea, but he was a real officer, and he does talk about the heartbreak and, the real mental toll that it takes when people choose to drive buzzed or, distracted or something like that, and they come on these scenes and they see these terrible accidents, you know? So, really, it does burn my biscuits that usually it's the drunk driver that walks away just fine and dandy, and, it's the bus full of church victims, like the church choir group that, he just happens to run into. So, look, it's one of my things. I'm just saying if you ever feel like you can't drive, call an Uber, wait a little bit. Things will don't drive silly. And y'all are great, so I'm sure you're not driving silly, but, you know, it is one of them things that just ticks you off on the inside and outside, and you wanna use all the cursey words. And, of course, 50 warrants, 50 past warrants. At some point, you're like, "Is anyone gonna arrest anyone?" And welcome everyone that came from Megan Fox. These I am trying out a new time since I don't have a trial going this week. So we will have morning Newsy News at 9, a shorter with a couple, maybe 3, 4 stories, nooner, Newsy News nooner, and then the evening Newsy News show, the nightly Newsy News show at 9 o'clock, or not 9 o'clock, at 7 o'clock. I don't stay up till 9 o'clock. Well, come on now. Nothing good happens after 12 if I can stay awake. But basically, he's being held on bail for arguably, the court is asking, the prosecutors are asking for $500,000 to keep this man in jail, possibly. Hopefully, they keep him there and he pays for this because some poor person, this poor woman who was just walking down the street, you know, because he wasn't paying attention or he was goofafalled up, it just happened, and that's so ridiculous. And I'm telling you, this broken system either needs to get fixed or we are going to see more Dirty Harry, more, vigilante stuff coming up. It's going to lead to conflict, unfortunately, and I don't wanna be, sitting here saying that, but if the police don't do their job, which is what their job is, then it's going to be bad. In our next segment, and I think I might have actually done this, my daughter was like, "You're really impressed with that, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." But it's not that impressive. But we have Florida Man and Florida Woman. I finally made a little doodad for it. So we have from the Miami Herald, we have a museum burglary interrupted when workers show up and find an armed man, Florida cops say. Now, I just learned something and I wanted to share it with you guys. The reason we get the giant amount of Florida Man sort of things isn't because, Florida is full of crazy people, much like my stinger or anything else. I mean, look, y'all deal with hurricanes and alligators and pythons. You have to be a special breed to live in Florida. But they also have the most, sunshine of sunshine laws. So any sort of freedom of or any sort of media can ask for most public records and they will get them with no problem. So it's very easy for, news places to pick up Florida stories. So I did learn that today. I was like, "Oh, no, it's not just because Florida is just all full of the Florida man." No. Apparently it's because, well, partially because they have some of the most sunshine, public laws. So you can get a lot of the records and find, yes, quid or squid pro quo, you are right. Yes, I love sunshine laws. I The more sunshine, the better. Sunshine is the best disinfectant. A Florida museum burglary was thwarted when staff showed up for work and found a man hiding among the exhibits. Sir, you're doing a very terrible job as a mannequin, but God bless you. You tried. That Christmassy achievement list. Well, Bo was doing okay until he done took it up in his mind to rob the National Museum of something or other. Look, it has just been a year of challenges for us in this family, but we are looking forward to, uh, a better Christmas, better New Year. Oh, the stories I've seen from Indiana. It's more I don't know. Quote, or let's see, it happened Friday, November 10th at the Elliott Museum in Stewart, the Martin County Sheriff's Office said in a news release. Stewart is about 150 miles north of Miami on state's Atlantic coast. Quote, the employees at the Elliott Museum on Hutchinson Island walked into work this morning to quite a surprise, the sheriff's office said. They are usually the first ones in, and guests will arrive later, but not today. The employees were surprised to see a man was already inside, and he wasn't just admiring the museum items, he was taking them. Don't you hate it when daylight savings time messes up your burglary? It's like, dang it, it was supposed to be 9. Crap, go home. Look, my Siri did not update the daylight savings time. So I thought y'all were not gonna be here. The 42-year-old got inside via a door that had been left unlocked, and he took full advantage of his after-hours tour, officials said. Photos shared on social media show he surrendered without resistance at the bottom of a flight of stairs. Inside his backpack, he had items he took from the museum, as well as a knife. Of course he did, the sheriff's office said. Details on the items in the backpack were not released. The museum reports that no exhibits were damaged. I have never heard of this museum, but, why would you go don't run into a museum. That's like going into a library and taking and destroying things. Just awful. Just no home training. Your mom's gonna be so embarrassed. She's gonna be like, "What happened with you and them?" And she'd be like, "Oh, it was a pitiful thing. My eldest done got the devil in him or something, and just tried to rob a museum. It's gonna for the love of all that is holy." Uh, let's see. The man who lives in Port St. Lucie is charged with burglary theft. I'm surprised he isn't charged with, oh gosh, what is well, not trespassing. There you go, trespassing. But I guess burglary implies trespass. Look, I am not a lawyer. Do not come here for lawyerly advice. I am only on Post-it 1 of Daryl Brooks' Learn to Lawful Law, compendium. I'm sure he will send me more once he is out of the clink. I will learn all the lawful law, and I will be my own third-party intervener. Pro per, not pro se. Daryl Brooks, I would just like to curse you, sir, because every time I say sustained now, I have to think about it to make sure I don't say substained. Although, on a side note, because Tangent Mo is awesome and activated, I could not get my husband to do a couple's costume that Halloween because it was gonna be a variation on a theme. I was gonna be a sub, and he could have a penis, because then we'd have subpoenas. He thought that most people wouldn't get it. I thought it was hilarious, okay. But I was gonna be a sub, and then he could have a stain on his shirt, and then we could have been substained. Look, if you were in a niche group, but he didn't wanna do it. So one year, I will make him dress up as King of the Hill. I will be Peggy, and it'll be awesome. Because I already gave birth to Bobby Hill, I swear to goodness, my middle son is full on Bobby Hill. Okay, now that we're completely off tangent. There you are. There it is, Florida man trying to steal from a museum. So, in wrap up for this short little well, longish thing, we've got, uh we've got QAnon Shaman. He's putting in paperwork. He's going to run for as a libertarian in Arizona, but as a felon, he will not be able to vote for himself unless he gets his, felony, retracted. Might I suggest just wearing a shirt or covering your nippular area, for campaign stumps? I mean, I don't know, maybe the kilt look is how you're gonna go with the whole thing. I say, "You know what, sweetie? Don't listen to me. You rock your own style. I'm sure the libertarians will be just so proud." Let's see here. We've got the Secret Service thwart apparently yet one of the, 6,000 car break-ins, uh, in Washington, DC, while, protecting the first granddaughter. Well, the one that we claim. You know, Anyhoozle. So it doesn't look to be an actual attack on, the president, though I am willing to, if we have, evidence that this was a coordinated, let's let's go Joe kinda thing, I will change this, but it does look like it was simply the Secret Service responding to an opportunistic car break-in, and since Washington, DC has had an explosion of car break-ins, it's possible that that's just what happened. This particular gentleman decided that, after doing terrible things with a woman of payable pleasure while stealing his dead grandfather's police badge and saying he was part of the Portland, Maine prostitution, police department, section, couldn't even pull up SVU or, Vice Squad. I mean, sir, looking at your picture, I'm gonna guess that you were fairly youngish when Miami Vice came out. I'm just saying, Magnum PI, I mean, you have the mustache, but he decided to use his dead police chief father's badge for terribleness, and after he committed that crime and then served his time and was made to register, for a lifetime in Maine, Portland, Maine, not Oregon, Maine. It looks like he might have unalived a really good woman, Danielle Goodwin, who was in charge of, um, being a recovery counselor and looks like she was really influential in getting a lot of people to sobriety, so it does kind of suck all the donkey balls that you have a really good person and allegedly this guy snuffed her out. So I will keep a look on this case, and if it is, live streamed, we might check it out because the grossness to take your dead dad's actual honorable service and turn it into grossness is just ridiculous. Then we have the Las Vegas Sphere that lost 98.4 million in this fiscal quarter. Now, again, I'm thinking that if you invested in this giant thing of wizardry and technology, you realized it was front loaded and there would be a lot of capital and, maintenance expenditure in the front, and then you would, start selling it as now they did allow Nancy Pelosi in a swimsuit to be put on the sphere, which I congratulate, but that is a cursed image and you have to sage things out as a person who sends it to Mr. Mo randomly because it makes him go bleh. I can tell you, you do need to sage your phone out because it does give it, a little bit of the HIV, if you will. Gets a little bit of the gonorrhea of the soul. You have to get that cursed image out of there. You have to sage it just a little bit, or pour seasoned salt over it, whatever you have, just a little bit. And then, well, this guy apparently had not 1, not 2, but 50 warrants for his arrest in the past, and, oh, a list of crimes, but he was involved in a very well, a fatal car crash, including bus and other people getting injured in Seattle. So, again, we are running into the same sort of thing where a small, small, tiny amount of people have a majority of the crimes, and if we could keep them in jail, we might be a little safer. But also don't drive drunk or high or silly or distracted or texting or, if your kids are acting crazy, just, tell them to hush up because you're trying to drive. And Florida man, as always, uh, never fails to show up and just show out. This 42-year-old man who lived in Port St. Lucie decided that he was going to stay and, just be a little bit of a robbler to a museum. And I think he was thwarted by daylight savings time. He thought he had a little more time. He got a little relaxed, took a little bit of a nap, didn't realize that they would still be coming in on a Sunday. So that is it for Newsy News Nooner. And just as a special belated aside, and I said it at the beginning, but I'll say it again when we have more people. Thank you so much for your service, all you veterans. As as the only flunky out of basic training of a great service-oriented family, I can say that I definitely see all of the things that service members' families have to deal with, and not only service members, but, our first responders, the people that go in when people are running out. So I appreciate everyone's service. You guys, sacrificing your time, your life, your health, and your safety for mine is so greatly appreciated. And if Fry wasn't napping, he would be greatly appreciative too. So I thank you. And with that, I will let you go. Do not forget that I will have nightly newsy news, slightly longer, more stories that I will dredge up. And look at what you guys have sent in through the mail and on MLS's Discord, Mo Schmo down at the bottom. If you find crazy stories, because sometimes the internet is a big place and I can't find all the crazy stories. But if you have a crazy story or a local story, you can put it in there if you're a member, or I have my email on my about thing. So if you find stories that you'd like me to put on Newsy News, it may take me a minute, but I will get them on there. I was spending most of this time between times trying to put together an easy locking file cabinet. It's that easy word Imma take issue with, but I will finish my battle with that, and then we will be back with nightly newsy news. So I hope to see you there, and we might start doing a Wednesday boozy news. I don't know. We're gonna play around a little bit with the schedule this week and see how things go. So, since I don't have a trial per se, we do have, some Delphi news coming in, and I will be resetting up the interview with, my close friend who wrote, the amicus brief for one of the Supreme Court motions in the Delphi case. She has been on several, Defense Diaries is a good place to look it up, but she's been on several things and she's agreed to come on mine, and unfortunately, my health kinda got the last week, so I am back and all the squirrels are I had all my squirrels in a row last week, and now I'm feeling better, and my squirrels are like, "We are having a party and no one's listening to anything." So I will see you this evening, hopefully with my squirrels back in a row. Maybe take a long walk with Fry. Get those squirrels in a row. Please like and subscribe and share with your friend. And you know what? It's a goal for me every day, but say something nice to yourself and something nice to someone else. As an introvert, I don't people very much. So my new goal, and a goal I encourage you to try, is just compliment one person while you're out. It's an easy way to try to people. And generally, if you profile and you don't get a talker, You can people and get the heck out. But you can say, "Oh, that's a lovely dress and you look beautiful today." And then you can just walk away and you have peopled and you have said something nice. Life advice from Mo. I will see you guys at 7 p.m. Eastern with Nightly Newsy News, and I may have a drink tonight. Who knows? It has been a long couple of weeks. I will see you guys in a little bit. Bye, guys.